Hello friends, happy Ryder Cup week. Welcome into the Green Grass Golf Shop. I'll just come right on and say it. We need to talk about the hips. I'm Coach Matt. I've been teaching this beautiful swing for a little over a decade now, and God, especially recently, I'm seeing a lot of misconceptions about how the hips are supposed to work in the golf swing. I really think it comes down to this, the only way that you hear analysts on TV talk about the hips, they fire through the swing. I think all that term has done is create confusion about the way that we're supposed to use the ground to start our swing, right? When you hear the fire, it's for your hips. In my personal experience with the many students I've had throughout the years, there are dozens of different ways folks interpret that, and hardly any of them that I've seen are correct. So first I want to look at some swings I think that we should all trying to be emulating, right? The ones that are used to play the best golf, and what they all have in common. Now, no, I'm not saying that we should all be trying to mimic every single part of every single swing that we see on TV, but if we look closely, there are definitely some things that all really good golfers have in common with their mechanics. And yes, that is even when you compare swings like Scotty or even like Jim Furyk versus a Rory or an Adam Scott. They do have things in common. Let me show you what I mean by that. Now, so first what we're going to focus on today is mainly, let me pull up a swing here first. Brooksy, I love it. So we're going to focus on this little blue line here, right? And really what we're going to pay attention to is how each player's body relates to this blue line, where they move in relation to that. This is one of my favorite swings here, Brooks Koepka, and as we go throughout the swing, what we're really looking for, what I look for when I break down my student swings, is if any space appears between our body and that blue line. And as you can see, as we get down to impact and even slightly beyond, backside is pressed like a Christmas ham right against that imaginary wall. All right, let's see who's next here. Colin Morikawa. It's a good one. And let's see here. Got my blue line there. The camera's a little bit shaky, but wouldn't you know it, no space here. Backside still against that blue line. Now let's see here. Oh, hey, Mac Leishman. Let's see what Mac has going on here. So a very, very different swing from the other two, I think. A little more old school, a little more kind of one plane, but as you can see here, down to impact and through it, same thing, no space between the blue line. Let's see, who's next here? Oh, here's a good one. Oh, Justin Rose, and then I can already see who we're gonna finish off with here. So Justin, let's see, let's focus little blue line, stay pressed up against it, still there, still there, still there, still there, still there. No space ever opens up between his body and that blue line. And then finally, here I want to go, I saw somebody I really wanted to look at. It's one of my favorite swings that I think most people should be trying to emulate. Ryder Cup rookie, US Open champ, J.J. Spaun. The point that I'm trying to make here is that while I know all these swings are in slow motion, and other than Brooks, I don't see any motion that you could really say is firing the hips through the swing. I would actually say rather that the big thing all these swings have in common is that they're just keeping their hips and their lower body out of the way. They're keeping their legs very long, as you can see with JJ, keep his legs very long, not a lot of bend here. They're not firing the hips, they're simply keeping them from blocking their hands and their golf club. They're pushing against the ground, almost mimicking like a gentle jumping motion with their lower body, rotating their weight internally onto their front heel. Now let me address this first. When I say push against the ground, right, the first thing that I see most students do is kind of this here. Where I'm not pushing against the ground when I'm doing this, I'm just bending my knees, right? When I say push against the ground, it's gonna feel a lot more like that. Almost like I'm jumping and I'm opening my chest up towards my target. So if you want to feel what the lower body is meant to do during the swing, I have 3 ways you can do that, okay? First, is we can take a few jumps, just like I just did there, right? I'm going to start in my impact position, shoulders parallel to my target line, I'm starting my setup position, rather. I said impact position before, sorry. Start in my setup position, right? Parallel to my target, and I'm just going to get in my golf setup, and I'm just going to jump and open up my chest towards the target, right? For my righty golfers, for me, I'm going to send my left shoulder back, my right shoulder through, so then again, my chest is opening up towards the target, and the opposite for a lefty golfer. But again, same thing. We're opening up our chest towards the target. So next, if we have one, I have this little stool here, we can use a bar stool or a high chair. So I'm going to basically get into my setup position and lean this chair against my rear end here, right? And all I'm trying to do with my swing here is when I get into my setup position, when I go down through impact, I want to push that chair over with my butt, with my rear end. I want to push that chair. Basically, a good way to set it up is to take this chair, kind of lean it with 2 legs against you, get into your swing, get into your kind of top of the backswing position, and then just feel like I'm going to push that chair over onto its 4 legs and stand it up, right? Now, the final thing that we can do, I think the easiest way that we can set it up, I'm going to pretend this is my wall here because I want to stay in frame. But I'm going to set up against a wall, any wall. And I'm going to basically take my golf setup just a few inches away from this wall. I can take my fists and kind of put them in between my backside and the wall there. And what I'm going to do, cross my arms against my chest, grab each opposite shoulder, and I want to take a natural, kind of just a fluid, a ghost golf swing, if you will, a practice swing where I press my right cheek up against that wall and roll my butt along it so that my rear end never leaves that wall. So I'm staying along the wall, pressing my butt up against that surface that's pressed up against behind me. So I think overwhelmingly the feeling that we should have when we take our golf downswing, once we get up to the top, we should feel like our lower body lengthens, right? And as that lower body lengthens, I want that to pull my chest and my head down towards the golf ball. If you watch any golfer, any professional golfer, most of them anyway, they don't have an issue with early extension. When they move their hips, their chest and their head is actually going down towards the golf ball. Long gone are the days where we want to keep our head completely still throughout the swing. We want those hips to kind of pull my chest and head down. That's a proper way for the hips and the legs to move throughout the swing, okay? So again, just to reiterate, right? We do not want to fire the hips. When I see people firing the hips, normally what happens is they go here and you try to fire them. What that does is it gets rid of all of the space that I want for my hands and my arms to come down through the golf swing when they should be here. My hands or my legs and my hips nice and tall and out of the way so that my chest can stay over the golf ball. My arms can come down through the impact zone and carry my momentum up to look at my target. If you want to know the reason for your tops and your shanks, it is exactly that, right? It's exactly those hips moving forward, getting rid of the space that we should have for our hands so that instead of at impact here, I have to come here. Very often the hands go here, and that brings this part of the club, that part that we don't want to hit the golf ball into play, the hosel or the neck of the club, that brings that into play, where all we're doing is swinging out to the right without the ability to close our club face, or just as bad, we get here, I need to release early to get my hands down to the golf ball, and I'm snapping everything around to the right, or around to the left, to the right for our lefty golfers. That is the reason for our tops as well. Why did I lift my head up? It has nothing to do with me wanting to watch the golf ball. I better want to watch the golf ball when I hit it, otherwise I'm not going to know where it goes. Sometimes I'm playing by myself. I don't always have partners to watch my golf ball for me. The reason I'm lifting my head up is because my hips are getting in the way of me being able to keep my head down. You see that? When I keep my hips out of the way, I can get my head down or up as low as I want, keep it down through the golf ball where it needs to be. But all right, that does it for my little PSA here. Just thought it was important for someone with a little more than casual knowledge of the golf swing mechanics to weigh in and elaborate on what most instructors and golf analysts are trying to say, because I don't think enough people understand, and it's causing so many really nasty swing faults. If you want to stop that dreaded early extension, you really don't need to fire or snap the hips through or anything like that. They just need to stay out of the way. Let me know down in the comments if this video helps, or if you need any further elaboration. I am always here in the DMs for a private swing evaluation and to be the pro in your pocket. And be sure to go and follow us over on the Greengrass Golf Shop pages on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll see you on the course.